Hey, good morning, family. Let me pop that music there. Hey, good morning to you, family. Welcome back to the Nathan Ivey Show, Cincinnati's first daily digital talk show that focuses on the Black community. Good morning to you. Nathan Ivey with you, one man, one microphone, one mission. The mission continues today. I'll tell you more about some new shows that are coming to CDM. I'm very excited about it, including Midday Juice with Ask Ashley, and of course, Fast Pitch and Valet Service. That'll be at 7 p.m. this evening on Tuesdays. Along the way, though, we got a lot to talk about, a lot of information I want to give to you. I want to have conversations with you about things that are happening. I'm also planning on doing a watch party for the vice presidential first debate, which will be tomorrow, as I understand it. So I'm looking forward to that. Should be very, very interesting. I want to see what happens. But on today's show, I want to talk about a black man from Ohio that was profiled, videotaped, followed, stopped by police because a white woman saw him putting groceries in his own vehicle. I want to talk about this morning. 513-873-7134, of course, is the number. Good morning to everybody. We'll get started in about 90 seconds. Please take this time to like and in particular share this show. When you share this show, more people see it. It's real simple. I really appreciate you. We'll get started in about 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Wilson. A conservative legal group has sued the state of California over a new law that will require hundreds of California-based corporations to have directors from racial or sexual minorities on their boards. Judicial Watch claims the law is unconstitutional. Well, historical black colleges and universities empower students. Although HBCUs comprise of 3% of the country's colleges and universities, they enroll 10% of African Americans and produce almost 20% of all African American graduates. The Hill reports HBCUs help produce 40% of African American engineers, 50% of black lawyers, 80% of black judges, and 70% of black physicians and dentists. That's your Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
Jill Schiller has been missing in action, and now we know why. Did you know that Jill Schiller, candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, got away with a dangerous offense? Her friends and connections at Cincinnati City Hall turned their heads when she was racing through a Cincinnati public school zone doing 52 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. She could have killed a child. As a mother of three, that's concerning. 25,000 children are injured each year because of speeding in a school zone. 100 children are killed in school zones each year by people like Schiller. Schiller should have served 5 days in jail as the law states, but being privileged kept her out while you, the public, would have gone to jail. Her friends and connections at City Hall only fined her $60, and they quickly destroyed the evidence the next day. We cannot trust Schiller with our school children. Should we trust her to protect and safeguard our tax dollars? Vote for Charlie Whitmer for Hamilton County Treasurer. We can trust him to safeguard our tax dollars and our children.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Whitmer.
Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5-steps-coder.
You're listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
Hey, good morning, family. Welcome back. Nathan Ivey with it is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful morning here in the greater Cincinnati area. Let me know how we're looking so far, how we're sounding so far. I believe that everything is good, but you know, this, as I say, is not a perfect science. Good morning to you. But listen, we got a lot of ground to cover this morning. A black man in Ohio has been reported. It's been reported that a black man from Ohio was profiled, videotaped, followed, and stopped by police, all because a white woman saw him putting groceries in his own vehicle. That's a photograph of the brother right there, along with the vehicle. I guess, you know, he was in the wrong neighborhood and the car wasn't a hoopty. I guess she figured he must be doing something. I got the audio. There was a very interesting news report about it, and they included the audio from the 911 call. You got to hear it. Straight up racial profiling. And then on top of calling the police, she actually followed the dude. Straight up Karen. And listen, we need that whole, they call it community policing. We need people that keep their eyes open about what's happening in our neighborhoods. I mean, that's all great. But when it's racial profiling, as it appears to be in this case, I don't think she ever would have did this if it was a white man. Oh, he's looking around. He's looking nervous. He's looking nervous. Why is he looking so nervous? He's just looking around. He's looking around because that's what people do these days. He's looking around because he's a black man in America. But she took that as, oh, he must be up to no good. Look at him putting them groceries in that car. Look at, man, I don't put groceries in my car like that. When I put groceries in my car, I'm always looking at the groceries. I'm not looking around. He must be doing something. He must be up to something. Good morning to you, family. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. I got it in this morning, hence my wardrobe. I got it in. Good morning to you. Yeah, I got it in this morning. Early this morning. It was beautiful. It was cold outside. I was on the front porch of my home this morning. So excuse my attire. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be healthy. Excuse me. Good morning to you. Hey, listen, folks, please take a second to like and share today's show. I'll say it again. When you like and share, primarily share the show, even if you see, like, let's say we put it in, I don't know, Greater Cincinnati Politics page or the Black Greater Cincinnati Politics page. Great. Multiply it, do it 2 or 3 times, because what will happen is it'll show people like, oh, people are watching this. It'll make them want to tune in. It means everything. It means everything. Thank you in advance. 513-873-7134. Coming up later today at 1 p.m., Midday Juice is back. Ask Ashley. She got a very interesting question, which I'll share with you later on in the show. That's at 1 p.m. today. And you can follow it and watch the show live on Facebook. You can watch it live on Facebook. Good morning to you. And, of course, coming up at 7 p.m. today, you've got valet service. Now, I wasn't hip to Black Rambo TV. I've since got hip to him. The brother's got a big following on Instagram. And Fast Pitch is going to be talking about why Black women don't feel secure and safe around Black men. You know what I'm saying? Vis-a-vis Tory Lanez, and shout out to Meg Thee Stallion. You know what I'm saying? What the hell is going on with this world? Protect Black women. We on some protect Black women-ish here at CDM. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. And I'll say it again. If you missed the last Is It Just Me podcast with Donnie B, it's worth your time to circle back around and check it out. You can find it on Sin Digital Media's page. And also you can join her in her Facebook group of the same title, Is It Just Me podcast group. All right. It's worth your time. Black candidates. This is, Wendy Cross is Common Pleas. She's running for Common Pleas. Fanon Rucker running for Hamilton County prosecutor. Who better to interview them than a Black lawyer? I can't think of anybody. What about you? 513-873-7134. Okay, we got the branding up. Then we're looking good. And we got the number up. There's the number right there. That's a free phone call anywhere in the country, in some parts of the world. If you have any issues, hit me with a DM and we'll make sure we take care of it as much as we can. I do know that yesterday there were some difficulties in people inside the chop shop hearing the audio clips. I'm going to try to work on that. I thought you were able to hear everything. I listened back to it after the show, as any good professional should. If you're not listening to your show and watching yourself, then you ain't serious about getting better. You're not serious. Care who you are. You must listen to yourself. It is the most difficult thing that any creative person can ever do. But if you don't watch yourself and listen to yourself, then you ain't trying to get better. You bullshitting. Sorry. I know it's early. Sorry. Miss Tiffany Rice, good morning to the babies out there. Pamela Rice, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Good morning to you. Ashley Rice, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. That beautiful child of y'all. I saw her on Facebook. Maybe it was over the weekend. Beautiful. Sharp Rights, good morning, Nathan and Choppers. Brenda Rice, happy Tuesday. Jerica Rice, hola, beautiful Black people, and the others too. And then she's got a little heart there. Oh, I love it. NBA Hung Boy. Good morning, Choppers. Black women are plenty protected. It's the Black child that needs protected. You just contradicted yourself there. You probably don't even understand it. I always see toddlers getting cursed out at Walmart by a woman. I never see a woman getting cursed out at Walmart. When y'all ready to have that discussion, let me know. Until then, y'all don't deserve me or my brethren. Alt middle, you are immersed. I hear you, brother, but when you say we don't deserve you, that's like saying that the leaves don't deserve the roots. You know what I'm saying? It don't make sense in my head, but I know it makes sense to you. Mason Muller writes, morning, Nate and the Choppers. Hashtag flows ready to eat for everybody. Hashtag Bernie Sanders lost. Hashtag QCTs were sent by the Russians. Hashtag hit dog will holler. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and the magnificent Choppers. You know what? It's been a minute since we hit you with that Choppers. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah. We got it. Here we go.
Oh! Get to the chopper!
Get to the Choppers. Brian writes, good morning. Tracy writes, hi. Ray writes, grand risings all. God writes, good morning. Or GAH writes, good morning. Good AM Choppers. Good and non-ignorant folks. We are non-ignorant. I appreciate that. You don't want to be ignorant these days and times. Like your ignorant ass president who, after giving COVID is now doing two things. Number one, he's seen walk into the White House without a mask on. The guy's incorrigible. He's incorrigible. He don't care. And now he's doing some kind of video public service announcement to try to convince people that don't be afraid of COVID. 200, I don't mean to laugh, but 200,000 people have died. We had a member of the Chop Shop, John from Florida. His brother died of COVID.
Nathan Ivey for NathanIvey.com.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Hit it by inadvertently. We had a member of the Chop Shop, John from Florida's brother died. And this fool is running around here doing videos talking about don't be afraid of it. I mean, everything that we've heard about him is true. Everything that we've heard about your president, our president, Donald Trump, is absolutely true. It's absolutely true. There's no way around it. There's no trying to negotiate it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to just roll with the punches. You're gonna have to roll with the punches. This guy is incorrigible. He got COVID and is still running around here trying to play COVID down. And now the Republicans are trying to make him into some kind of warrior, right? He's a warrior. He's a warrior because look how he survived COVID. He survived it. Huh? Yeah, he survived COVID. That means he's tough. Huh? What? What in God's name? We are all going to hell. We are all going to hell real quick. We are living in the last days, my friends. I'll say it again. We are living in the last days, my friend. I'll say it again. But let me talk about this story from, okay, don't forget, I will be talking about numerous things. I'll be looking ahead at the VP presidential debate from the black perspective, what should be brought up, okay, in terms of black voters, what matters to black voters. How do I know what matters to black voters? Because some very smart people have polled black voters, and then we have the conclusions, and we can draw conclusions from those conclusions as to what black voters care about. And I just hope that with this upcoming VP debate, that they don't reduce the issues of black voters to just, Breonna Taylor. It's super important. We're all outraged. We're all hurt. Everybody's mad about it. But the issues that the black family is dealing with is much broader than that, like black wealth building. I want to see a debate from the VP candidates on what's the plan from their respective administrations to build black wealth. Because if more black people have more wealth, we can go get our own ish. All these people talking about, government programs and the Democrat plantation. Well, if we put more effort into black wealth building, then black folks can buy their own ish. We don't need these programs. We can lift up our own families and boats. You feel me on that? I know you do. But will it be reduced to just, once again, talking about Breonna Taylor or George Floyd, which, again, there are relevant issues that matter to us in particular. It just seems like it always gets condensed to the same old ish every 4 years. I'm sick of it. We'll talk about that. Also, CPS has decided that they're going to go back to blended learning. I think it's a bad idea. I'll be honest with you. I'm concerned about it. I want to know what the virtual option is. If there's a virtual option to allow children to remain at their school, something tells me that a lot of parents are going to choose that. It was just last week they decided, you know what, the numbers are bad. So you're going to wait 2 weeks? What is 2 weeks supposed to do? What are the forces that are pushing the superintendent and the school board to make to make them want to push the kids back into the classroom? Who are these people? Who are these people? Is it parents? Call them out. What are the forces that are exerting their pressure on the superintendent, on the school board, to force kids to go back to everyday learning in person? Who are they? I'd love to know. When I had the opportunity to speak with the superintendent, it was on my list of things to bring up, and we just ran out of time. But I would like to know who those forces are, because it was just last week, and they said, the numbers are too bad. What's changed in 2 weeks? Meanwhile, we see COVID running through the White House. Ostensibly, they've got some of the best coverage and protections in the world, and they all got COVID. So where does that leave our children? I don't understand it. Tell me this. Why is it not better to just remain virtual? I would love to hear that argument. I would love to know from the superintendent and or the school board why staying virtual is so bad. They act like it's the worst thing ever. I'd like to know why. I'd like to know why. Is it because you got parents out there belly aching? Well, here's how I feel about parents. You decided to have kids. And when you made that decision, you made a decision based upon, hopefully, your ability to take care of them. Thick and thin, rain and shine, school or no school, virtual or no virtual. It's not the school's responsibility to take care of your child. It's your responsibility. It don't matter whether you have to work. You should have thought about that before you had children, period. Period. I can't work. You didn't think about unforeseen. Most people don't think ahead. Most people just do. And they try to make it up. Oh, God's going to help me. We better call God now. You had those babies. You chose to have children. That's not the superintendent's responsibility. That's not the school board's responsibility to find some place for your kids to go because you got to go to work. You didn't think this through? You didn't think this all the way through? You should have. You should have thought this all the way through. Simple as that. And I'm in the same boat. We got to work. But these are our children. That's my son. I'm responsible. Ultimately, I am responsible for what he does, what he needs, his protection, his welfare. Not the school board. Not the superintendent. But y'all want to make them responsible for your decision. They ain't hit no orgasm with them kids. You did. Now it's their responsibility. So now you're going to push them to put everybody's kids in harm's way because it benefits you. Selfish creatures, man. God's little selfish ass creatures. You shouldn't have had them, period. If you didn't have the foundation to take care of your kids, thick and thin, rain and shine, in school or virtual, then you shouldn't have had them. But we beyond that, ain't we, homie? We beyond all that. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Sick and tired of these me, selfish ass human beings. You don't want to wear a mask. You want to put other people's kids in jeopardy because you got to work. That's your lifestyle, homie. Simple as that. Simple as that. That's how I look at it. Crystal writes, I hear you, but don't see you, Nate. Don't see me? What do you mean? I'm right here on the screen. Let me see. Maybe refresh. Carmelita writes, Walnut Hills is staying virtual. Yes, it is. It is staying virtual, and that's great for our daughter because we want her to remain virtual and stay in her school. I mean, she went through the whole Walnut Hills examination and the whole 9 yards. We supposed to just give up the spot because CPS hasn't thought the plan all the way through? How's that fair to her? How's that fair to the babies, the students? Everything is supposed to be about the students. Damn these parents. I'm sick and tired of you whining ass parents because you got to go to work. Well, you should have thought about that. Make it happen, Captain. We don't have the skills to help our kids get online. Then what the heck? What you have them for? What you have them for? Who told you to have children if you don't have the resources and the wherewithal to take care of them, thick and thin, virtual or not virtual? That's your responsibility. I got to set the record straight here. That's your responsibility, mom, dad. That's on you. Better get to work. I'm sorry. Better get to work with it and stop putting everybody else at risk because you've been inconvenienced. Same thing with these parents whining and belly aching about their kids going back to play sports. I don't give a damn about no damn sports. Are you losing your mind? Your kid gets COVID, laid up in the hospital. They won't be playing sports. If all the kids on the team get sick with COVID, guess what? There's no team. What about scholarships, right? Who cares about scholarships? There's a pandemic. I got to bring some common sense to the game, man, because some of these people out here is losing their minds. Y'all have lost it. God's little selfish ass creatures. That's what I call them. God's little selfish creatures. All you care about is you. You are the universe. The universe revolves around you and your concerns. Damn everything else now. Nobody else matters but you and your family, right? Selfish ass God's little. I don't want to curse too much because the babies is watching. Don writes, it's the school's responsibility once you place them in their care. You got it wrong. No, I don't have it wrong, Don. You got it wrong. I don't have it wrong. When the kids are virtual, guess whose care they're in? Mom and dad. Mom and dad should have made decisions earlier on, looking forward, as too many of us don't do, and thinking about the what if. Do you really have the tools that are necessary to take care of children? Because if you don't, you shouldn't have them, period. Don't lay up, hit your climax, and then put it on me and mine in the school system because you don't have what it takes. It's unfair. It's unfair. Show children. It's just like when your kids are going to school. Yeah, the schools have a responsibility. They have to do their part. But as parents, you got to do your part. It's not 100% on them. Too much of this, man. I can't wait for it. I got to go back to work. You need a new job. You need a new job. You need a new profession. That's what you need. You need the kind of profession, then the kind of job, and the kind of way of making money that will allow you the flexibility to take care of your children because you are responsible for them, not CPS. Now, when they're in CPS's care physically, obviously, Don, the school is responsible, right? That's why I got so pissed off about Gabriel Taye. Say his name, Gabriel Taye. We won't say everybody else's name, but we don't say Gabriel Taye's name enough in CPS. I mean, around CPS or in Cincinnati because it's not polite, right? F that. That's a young man that was in CPS's care. They mismanaged it and then basically left the parents in the dark. Boy ends up committing suicide because he's dealing with bullying. And before anybody in CPS, don't even, I feel like Kevin Garnett when he got challenged by Dwight Howard many years ago. Like, he was like, Lord, don't even tell me. You work for CPS, don't even fix your mouth to tell me that I'm wrong. Because I personally was trained by CPS staff. Remember many years ago, I was working in an organization that's a partner with CPS. They put on a training that talked about the effects of bullying. It was provided by CPS staff. We did it right over here on Reading Road over at the United Way building. They got a conference center. Y'all, some of y'all might know they got a conference center that they rent out for these kind of events. I sat there all damn day. And what I learned is that there's a connection between bullying and the way kids feel, and it can lead to suicide. But when it happens to Gabriel Taye, all of a sudden, we ain't responsible. And that was Mary Ronan. Remember that? No respect for that whatsoever to Mary Ronan. And they had the nerve to give her a job over at Norwood. Why? Why? I don't get it. Okay. Appreciate you this morning. Some well wishers. Let me see. Too much judge, not enough sure. I'm not sure what you mean. Nah, 60% was not their choice. That was Remy. One woman even said, yeah, kids are going to get sick, but they still need to go back. What kind of reasoning is this? Jasmine, it makes no sense whatsoever. It's God's selfish little creatures. I'm going to tell you what it is. Parents have been forced to deal with their children all day long for the first time in their life, and they don't like it. That's what it comes down to. It's inconvenient. It's hard. I can't juggle it. They're yours. They're yours. They're your children. Go make it happen, Captain. You wanted them. You get all that love and all that unconditional love. Well, here's the other side of it. You got to be responsible for them. So you got people that's responsible for their kids for the first time in their life all day long. They're used to having that break when they go to work or the kids go to school and maybe you're working from home or you stay at home or whatever. But now you don't have that. And so God's little selfish creatures want to run their babies back into the fire so it can make their day easier. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. To make my day easier. The hell out of here. God's selfish little creatures need to get over themselves. Please stop. They're your babies. You birthed them. You hit the climax that brought them into the world. Well, here's the other side of that climax. You know what I'm saying? You got time. Do it. Do what you got to do. Dale writes, good morning, Nathan and Choppers. Crystal writes, good morning. Deshauna writes, good morning, Nathan and everyone. It's cold out and I'm still not turning my heat on. Hey, they better double up. You know what? We should do like a chop shop challenge because my wife and I are determined to keep the heat off. We wake up bundled up. The heat's been off. I'm trying to get through December. Like if I can get to January with no heat on, and again, I'm talking ish because it's October, right? Oh, it's October. Wait till November hits, right? December. I might be singing a different tune, but right now, I'm resolute. I'm resolute. We ain't turning the heat on. That's my whatever, Mr. T voice. We're not turning the heat on. I pity the fool. Good morning, Nathan and everyone. It's cold out. I think I read that already. Dale writes, live chat on Facebook. Nate for debate. Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll be going live. I'll be going live. Late night Nate. Late night Nate. Late night Nate for the debate. It all rhymes. Late night Nate watching the debate. Oh my God. We got to make it happen now because it rhymes. As we learned with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, it must be right. Just go with it. Just go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Also for definitely. Kara Mitchell writes, good morning, Nathan and Choppers. Good morning to you. David writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers, with a whole lot of S's.
Oh! Get to the chopper!
Yeah. Hakeem's in the house. He writes, no line dancing on Obama Avenue till ban no knock warrants. Oh, the fools was line dancing in front of City Hall. Line dancing. On the Black Lives Matter mural. Is it still up? I hope it is. I hope it is. For all of the artists involved, I hope it is. But you don't really hear about it anymore. Hopefully they redid it and they'll protect it and do whatever they wanted to do. I mean, I'm for it. I like equity policy intangibles a lot better. Dill writes, anybody watch Lovecraft Country? Or is it Country? No, I have not. I know Donnie's been talking about it. I haven't watched it though. He's doing some serious texting, LOL. Samantha's on YouTube. She writes, good morning, all. Good morning to you, Samantha. Chris writes, that happened to me also. I married her. Is that right? Cleopatra writes, Grand Risings, Nathan Ivey and the Choppers.
Oh! Get to the chopper!
It's a Get to the Choppers Tuesday. Why not? Damn, maybe Trump should have told the Karens and Darrens to stand back and stand by too. Maybe so. All right, let me circle back around. I want to talk about today's cover story, okay? Let's talk about today's cover story for a bit, and then we can move on to some other things. All right, a black man in Ohio was profiled, videotaped, followed, surveilled, and then stopped by police. All because he was loading groceries into his car. What in the hell is wrong with him? How dare he? And he was racially profiled. This is my opinion. I think he was racially profiled by this woman. I want to play this audio clip for you. I don't want to play the video because I don't want to get into any copyright issues. But I want to play the audio for you in the interest of the public debate. This is coming from my friends over at 19 News. Check them out. They do great work. This is out of Cleveland. Okay, I want you to hear this. It's very interesting. This is worth your time, family. This is worth your time. And we'll play in just a second. So this black man was loading groceries into his car. And all of a sudden he starts to notice that a white woman is like videotaping him in another car. Right? Check this out.
First at 10, it's a story you'll see only on 19 News. Racial profiling at the grocery store.
Chris, someone called the cops on a black man who was just loading groceries into his car. Our Kelly Kennedy has his emotional story tonight.
It all happened right here in the Giant Eagle parking lot in Solon. This father tells me he had just finished shopping at the grocery store and he was loading his groceries into his car when he noticed a woman filming him on her cell phone from her car. He felt that it was a little suspicious. Later on, he noticed that same car following him. He explains why this situation had him fearing for his life.
There's a brand new SUV, Infinity Black, is sitting in the parking lot, and the guy kept looking around, loading up his car's groceries.
35-year-old Philip Evans says grocery shopping used to be a mundane errand.
Like, just thinking about coming out here, I got a little anxious. Just, I had to think about it a little more. Like, do I really want to go shop here now, or, because no one wants to be targeted.
Evans was loading his groceries when he noticed a woman pointing her phone at him.
What does the male look like that's driving? Yeah, tall black gentleman, shorts, t-shirt, and he had a mask on. He's going real slow. He's just acting real funny. He loaded up the car, and he just kept looking around.
Solon police tell me that woman did call 911 when she didn't see a license plate. Police say she thought the car might be stolen and followed him.
I look at my rear view and I see the same car behind me. So I'm like, does this lady have a problem with me?
Do you think her reasons for calling the police were racially motivated?
Thinking back, the only thing I could think of why she would call the police and say those things is because I was black in a nice car in this neighborhood.
A few minutes later, he was pulled over by Solon police.
Hi, good afternoon. Officer Fictus from the Solon Police Department.
Like, the police interaction was really good. He was just doing his job.
Do you worry about what could have happened if you had a different officer stop you?
It's scary to think about, that just because I was getting groceries and I had a nice car and somebody saw that and didn't think I deserved that or something like that, that could lead to me potentially being shot and killed.
Okay, hope you get him.
I heard the recording and the part at the end where she says, I hope you get him. That kind of really hurt. It's like, what did she want them to get me for? She didn't see me do anything wrong.
The father with this message for that woman.
I hope she learns from it and learns. I feel like we all have prejudices, but we have to, kind of watch that and kind of think on it and not try to act on prejudice and things we don't know about other people just based on the color of their skin.
Solon police tell me Evans for a license plate violation. It turns out his temporary tag was in his back window, but since it was tinted, it was difficult to see. Reporting.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I got so much to say. Number one, if that was me, my attitude is going to be she should be charged. She should be charged criminally. To do a full investigation to the fullest extent of the law. Whatever's possible, I want to do it. I'm not like some of these black dudes that just want to go along and get along. Oh, hell no. Because you ain't going to do that for me. And I'm not going to do that for you. An interview with me will be a little bit different. You go something like, you know what, I'm outraged. I'm going straight there on that racial motivation tip. I'm going to connect it to slavery. I'm doing the whole 9 yards. You're going to get the whole shebang with me. He was nice about it. Don't you think he was nice about it? Way too nice, in my opinion. Well, I hope she learns the lesson. I don't give a damn about your lesson. When they put these charges on you and you got to be inconvenienced to go to the court and/or there's the opportunity for some kind of civil retribution or whatever, then you'll learn. Hope you get them. Hope you get them from what? That white woman is a menace to society. That Karen is going to do it again. She going to do it again. And then, did you notice when the white female reporter said, it could have been, when she asked him a question like, how do you feel? It could have been another officer. We are too accepting of the fact that there's bad police officers on a force. We all know it. Like, there was a little bit of a tell right there in that white female reporter. She didn't mean anything by it, but it was so subtle that a lot of people might have missed it. Why do we accept that there's bad police officers that might get all Conan barbaric and want to abuse their power on the force? Why is that acceptable? She asked the question like it was just so casual and it was common knowledge. Well, she essentially said you got lucky. Because if you had caught the wrong police officer that wanted to go there, then who knows what would have happened? Why do we accept that? It's commonplace. No big deal. Why do we accept that? And she said,
that she thought this car was stolen. So let me get this straight. Let's think this through logically. So he is going to go to the grocery store, buy groceries, and then steal a car in the grocery store pot. Now, let me get this straight. He buys the grocery, but he steals the car. He buys the groceries, y'all. He goes in and legally purchases the groceries and then goes out into the parking lot where there's all kind of cameras. Everybody knows there's cameras in these grocery store parking lots. It's broad daylight. And steals the car. That don't even make any sense. That don't even make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's the most ridiculous issue I've ever heard in my entire life. This woman is, see, what black folks got to do is start doing this to white people. It's called the reflection method. White folks, by and large, don't understand this. They don't understand, like, what do you mean? I'm just trying to be, it's community policing. But when you start doing that to them, inconveniencing them, all of a sudden, I think people will understand better. You might have like Donald Trump is kind of like that. Like he don't really understand nothing until it happens to them. I've met people in my life that are like that. They got the world figured out until some shit happens. The ish happens to them. Then it's like, oh, that can't happen. Just obtuse. We got to start doing the same thing to them. But see, the thing about that is that black people don't really want to interact with the police because you know how the tables can be turned on you in an instant. You try to do something like that, the police going to show you like, hey, we ain't got time for all these games. We ain't got time for these false reports. The woman should be arrested, should be questioned. See, here's what should happen. She should be picked up. She should be questioned to ascertain the veracity of her claims and her observations. They should spend 2-3 hours just going over it over and over, just inconvenience the hell out of her to try to figure if she slips up, if she says anything wrong, the same way they do us. There has to be a penalty in Ohio for these kind of things. There has to be a penalty for this. Because if there's no penalty, then it's like, it's no biggie difference. It's no big difference. It's, hey, I'm going to keep doing what I do. Hope you get them. Hope you get them for what? Hope you get them. Like, when I go to the grocery store, typically I'm on a timeline. Like, I don't really want to be in the grocery store a whole lot. So I'm usually in, I got my list, or I got a mental list at the very least. I get my things and I'm out the door. All right? You think I got time to figure out who's breaking into cars? You think I got time for that? You think I got time to figure out and look and see and surveil people? Man, I'm trying to videotape my children so I don't miss, as they're growing up. You think I got time for that? I'm telling you. Please sign the petition that's circulating to protect black families in Cincinnati and also protect black families in Ohio. I've already contacted a very concerned member of City Council who's on top of this issue. I think that we can do something in the city of Cincinnati to provide another level, I would call it protection. Some might call it another level of, punishment for those that would try to use 911 in a reckless manner. From a police perspective, this is a waste of time and resources. What we just heard, and we got Black Russia on the line. Hey, Black Russia, hold on one second. I'm coming straight to you, brother. What we just heard was a colossal waste of time. While they stopping this brother, look at this right here. They stopped this brother. While they stopped this brother, somewhere in Salon, Ohio? Somewhere in Salon, Ohio, a real crime was taking place, and the police were misdirected. That's what's really happened here. But let's go to the phones, family. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrade.
Hey, good morning, Black Russia. How you doing, brother?
What's up? I'm hanging in here. How you doing?
Doing great. Let me make sure your audio is good. I think so. What's on your mind?
Well, I just heard the story. It's my first time hearing it on your show when I heard the audio. My lady told me that she had read about it. And I'm trying to figure out where the crime is on her end, on the Karen's end. Because, see, here's the thing about it. If they didn't rope off the dude or the lady who caught on John Crawford up there in Beaver Creek, ain't no way this lady going to jail. I'm like, what do you charge her with at this moment in time? I know you said you're working on something, but what can you do at this moment in time?
Mhm.
See, the guy's response actually saved his life, because that could have escalated. He could have been mad and angry about the police stopping him, and that could have been problematic. But his reaction saved his life. So, I mean, it's like, what do you do about the Karen that caught on him? Ain't really too much you could do to her.
Oh, there's a
Because
lot you
police
can do.
encourage people. What's that?
Well, I don't want to mess up your flow. You go right ahead, and then I'll after you
No,
finish,
no.
and I'll chime in.
All right, sure. I guess I was just, to the point I'll get into is that what do you charge it with? Like, police, actually, I think you'll find police fighting against you the hardest on this, because police encourage others to call in with tips. And there's nothing wrong with people giving tips on whatever they see, because she didn't describe, like, she didn't say that he was doing a criminal act. She just said he looked suspicious. He was looking around. He was loading groceries. Now, there's nothing wrong with loading groceries in your car. There's nothing inherently wrong with looking around. But when police get those types of calls, like a tip, that's what they call it, then they automatically jump on top of that. Police don't want to stop people from being afraid from tipping. That's why you probably won't see any legislation around it, because police encourage this behavior, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I would say a couple of things can be done. I mean, perhaps this is an opportunity for new legislation that would bring a new level of protection specifically for these kind of incidences. I think an argument can be made that perhaps there are laws on the books, but the prosecutors in these various counties and cities and municipalities aren't using them. So again, I say perhaps a new wave of legislation might open up the door and bring a little bit more impetus for them to do so. I think at the very least, what should happen in these kind of scenarios is that the woman who made the phone call needs to get a visit from the police, and they need to do an investigation and question her as to the veracity of her observations, and then also make it be known that they don't have time to waste. I mean, to me, I disagree with you. I think that if I'm a police officer or a firefighter, I want to be directed to where the real crime is. And I don't want to be misdirected to a prank call or some call that's based upon somebody's racial bias or anxiety. That's a total waste of my time. And really, it puts the community at risk, because while those officers are talking to him, the real criminals are out here doing real crimes. And if I'm a police officer, and we know this, we get to some police officers all the time, that when they stop somebody in a vehicle, that's a very, dangerous situation to be in. You walking up and approaching a vehicle. Well, if I'm a police officer, I don't want to be put in a dangerous situation for a crank, prank, or biased phone call. If I'm going to put my life on the line, I want it to be some real ish that really matters.
Right. I understand that. And I guess it gets down to, like, how do you screen these calls? Like, they're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand the intent. You want to protect black lives from people, not just black people, but anybody from being approached by police when they don't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, everybody does. You don't want to be bothered with police, if you don't have to be. However, like, the other side of that is people call 911 all the time, or they call the other number, the non-emergency number. Let's say she did the non-emergency number, right? So she called that. Just take that out the equation. And she leaves the same tips, right? Now, she calling a non-emergency line is what she did accept.
I would say it's still not acceptable. But by calling...
Right, so, like, where do you draw the line at? Like, that's the problem, because, like, people going to call police and leave tips, whether they're racially motivated or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, the police are going to want those tips regardless of the motivation, because sometimes people leave tips and it just leads to something else.
No, I disagree with you.
Because, I mean...
I don't think the police want racially biased tips that are really nothing but somebody's paranoia.
I don't think they think about it being
I don't
racial.
think so.
I just don't think they're looking at the racial aspect of it. They're looking at tips.
Right.
You know
But what I'm saying
they ain't got time to figure out the racial motivation of it.
But what I'm saying is clearly we do need to look at the racial aspect of it, clearly. Because there's some people, just like the sister up in, not even a sister, Amy Cooper, and there's a real racial history to that as well. But just like Amy Cooper up in New York, who got all in her white fragility feelings and decided to weaponize the police against that brother. That happens. And there are people that call the police just based upon their racial bias. That happens. What I'm saying is we need to get to the bottom of it. I don't think that situation that happened in Ohio with that brother should end right there. Like I said, one easy step is the police need to go contact her and investigate as to the veracity of her observations and try to really figure out whether she had a good reason to call or not. That's at the very least.
But that's why they stopped the guy to test the veracity of her tip. That's how you test the veracity. You don't go to her to test the veracity of the tip.
Oh, actually, you do.
You go to the scene and you figure out what's going on. If you want to go back and talk to her, then okay. But once you figure out ain't nothing going on, then you waste the time going back and talk to the Karen.
No, I think you can do both.
What I'm saying? Like, it's circular.
I think you do both. Right, it is circular. So I think you can do both. Now they went and talked with this dude and they realized that he basically was a lawful citizen who was just putting the groceries in the car. They need to go back to, just like the police in Colorado went to that kid's house and they told him, like, hey, kid, you might want to think twice about flashing a toy gun during virtual learning. The police in that particular city can go back to that woman and say, hey, white woman, you might want to think twice and really, really understand what you're perceiving before you waste our time. What's wrong with that?
With the kid? They was on the Zoom call or whatever?
Yeah, it was a Zoom call. It was in, I believe it was in
All
Colorado.
right. I just want to make sure. Yeah, okay. I want to make sure I knew.
Yeah, I'm just saying that police do that. Like if you make a crank call and send the fire department somewhere, the police are going to come back to your house. They might charge you. You might have to deal with some court time, but at the very least, they're going to tell you, don't waste our time. Why can't they do that in this situation with this white woman when she clearly had no real evidence that he did anything wrong?
Well, she just described what she saw. She didn't say he was engaging in criminal activity. That's the line. It's like the veracity of the tip again. They went to go test it. She didn't describe criminal behavior.
But isn't that why people call 911 because they perceive that something criminal is going on? You acting like she just called and said he was walking with a sandwich, and then the police decided, you know what, that might be illegal. No, she was implying that the dude was doing something illegal, and that's why she made the call.
So here's the thing, Nathan. That's what I'm saying. You gotta really look at what she's saying. Play the audio again if you get a chance for folks who may not have heard it. But she didn't criminal behavior.
She did.
Right,
the fact that she called 911 implies that she thought that something was going wrong. At the end of the clip, I listened to it like 3 times before we went live. At the end of the clip, she even says, I hope you get him, implying he did something wrong.
Yeah.
What do you mean? She did imply by making the phone call to 911 and saying there's a black guy doing something suspicious with a car. That implies that she's saying he did something criminal.
Okay. I mean,
why else would she call Black Russia? It don't make any sense.
You just got to take the tip for what it is.
Huh?
You just got to take the tip for what it is. That's why the police went out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying, if you want to try to deal with this problem, to deal with it on the front end, from my perspective, is the guy handled it. You know what I'm saying? The police investigated. He wasn't up to nothing suspicious. Police went about their business. And you want the police to go back and waste time on Karen to talk to her about her motivation.
Yeah,
ain't nobody got time for that.
At the very least. Yeah, I do. Because what'll happen is like I told you before, and you keep overlooking this. So number one, we've come to the conclusion that Karen called the police on this black man, implying that he did something wrong. When in her observations, she didn't see him commit any crime whatsoever. It was probably, this is just me spitballing because I don't know Karen in this case. She was probably caught up with some old racial bias, black man, different neighborhood, nice car, and then her fantasies ran wild in her own head. So she decided to call the police, who are publicly funded, that's got better things to do. She wasted their time and resources because, like I said again, while they stopped this black man, somewhere probably close to him, a real crime was being committed, but they was being misdirected because of her racial bias. At the very least, in the interest of making sure that Karen thinks it all the way through the next time, the police should circle back around and have a conversation with her to really go through her story and then to tell her what they think and how wasting police resources is bad for everybody. That's at the very least they should do. At the very least.
I hear you.
At the very
I hear
least.
You. I just think that you should, once the tips have been investigated and it's been confirmed that ain't no criminal activities going on, we don't need to waste no more time on Karen. That's where I'm coming from, buddy.
And in terms of legislation, like I told you, in a lot of these cities in Ohio and around the country, there's already laws on the book that the prosecutors aren't even using. You know, like wasting resources, right? Redirecting resources, calling 911 and doing pranks. All of those things in a lot of these cities carry penalties. Why? Because of what I told you before.
A lot of times, but a lot of
because
times
of what I
reporting,
told
like,
you
fake
before.
criminal
Because,
activity.
say what now?
But a lot of times they're reporting, they're saying people are committing criminal activity. Like their words are totally different.
Huh?
Like they're not saying they're suspicious or what's going. You know, they're not doing it. I think what you're doing, you're conflating two things. When
No, I'm
people
not.
get sued or when people get arrested, like when they say that this actually happened, some criminal activity actually happened and it didn't happen, that's false. The woman on the Karen that we just heard on Salon, she didn't say anything false. That's the problem. That's the difference. That's all I'm saying. We don't need to waste no time once we know that Karens are lying.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I hear what you're saying.
Let me get this straight now. Let me put you in a scenario. So you're at the grocery store.
Yes.
You putting groceries into your car.
Yes.
A white woman who doesn't know you, is maybe 3 rows away, is looking at you, and for whatever reason, she thinks you're suspicious.
Right.
You didn't break any windows.
Every day.
You're just putting groceries into your car. She gets on the phone and says, you know what? This guy is suspicious. Because she did say that. He's looking all
She
around.
did say that. That's true.
He's looking suspicious. She starts following you and videotaping you. Now, you haven't committed any crime whatsoever. She calls the police on you. The police stop you. And what you're telling me right now is that that's completely okay.
What I'm saying is that's the process. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not defending Karen. What I'm saying is we shouldn't be spending so much time on Karen after we've confirmed the black dude ain't doing nothing wrong.
No,
you want to go back and figure out why she's racist. I'm saying we ain't got time to figure out why white folks is racist. We know they're racist.
Whoever brought
this
that
is the
up?
cost of being black in America.
I don't give a damn why she's racist. You never brought me. I never said that. That's not the issue about figuring out why she's racist.
The police report Karen in? That's what I'm saying.
The issue is not using the police as a vehicle for your racial bias, number one. And then number two, not wasting police that's public resource time. So since we both agree that that's wrong, all I'm suggesting is that we should have a legal penalty, perhaps even a remedy for it. So I think we really agree. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, but the fact that she called the police, that to me tells me that she thought that the dude was doing something criminal. Like I told you, the last thing she said, or the last thing we heard anyway in that news clip was, I hope you get him. Hope you get him for what? For putting groceries in his own car? He didn't do nothing wrong.
Right. Well, no, he didn't do nothing wrong. We agree there. He didn't do anything wrong. I'm just saying Karen going to be Karen. And being black in America is being black in America.
Right.
And this issue's been going on for the last 200 years.
So we should just take it and not do anything about it?
No, what I'm saying is that what you're proposing is trying to criminalize these types of calls on some level. And I'm saying to you,
it's already criminalized. What I'm suggesting is that we need another level of penalty, perhaps even a civil recourse as well, that specifically deals with racial bias. That's what I'm saying. Or any kind of bias.
Right. Okay. Well, in the employment context, yeah, you got that. But in the society, people are just racist. We're gonna put penalties on racism. Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, it's called hate crimes. You ever heard of hate crimes before?
I don't know about that one.
Have you ever heard the term hate crimes? You understand there's a federal class of penalties called hate crimes, right?
You're going to say Karen committed a hate crime?
No, what I'm saying is you're acting as if this is the first time this has ever been thought up. What I'm telling you is there's already existing laws on the federal level at least, that deal with just these kind of issues. So what's the difference?
I don't think the hate crimes, the federal hate crimes, are dealing with this particular type of call.
Yeah, that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is that there's already something called hate crimes. What you've been arguing against is already in place. You're like, hey, what I hear from you, Black Russia. What I hear from you is you're saying, well, you can't stop people from being racist. This ain't supposed to stop you from being racist. This is supposed to penalize you when you act on your racism. It's two different things.
By calling the police. And I'm saying right now, police ain't going for that. They ain't going to go for that.
Why wouldn't
because they want the tips to come in.
Why wouldn't
the tips to come in?
The tips are still going to come in.
Real and what ain't.
The tips are still going to come in. You're just not going to, hopefully it'll filter out the racially biased, frivolous tips that will put police officers' lives in jeopardy for no reason. If I'm a police
Or you
officer,
get
I
less
love
tips
that idea.
and you can't solve crime. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's
it cuts
not going to
both
have no
ways.
impact on solving crime whatsoever. People are still going to do tips. It's just going to stop people from being reckless and perhaps weaponizing the police because of their racial bias. It's not a slippery slope. It's not like all of a sudden people are going to start thinking twice, like, well, I can't make a tip because I don't want to be prosecuted. That's not going to happen. What will happen is that Karens and Darrens will think twice about what they're doing and what they're saying. They'll be real careful about it if they know their penalties, just like every other law.
Karens and Darrens.
Yeah, Karens and Darrens. Or Darrens and Karens, keep it alphabetically. They'll think real hard about using the police to weaponize it against the object of their racial bias. Or these frivolous prank calls. People start thinking real twice about it. You know, they'll think real hard about it and thinking twice about it if they know there's some serious penalties that could come from it. It's not going to stop good, honest citizens from making tips whatsoever.
Well, we'll see. I appreciate your insight on that.
And I can prove
appreciate what you're doing.
I can prove it. Real simple. I can prove it because right now, aren't there laws on the books that would dissuade people from calling 911 and doing prank calls?
From doing prank calls,
from misdirecting resources,
though.
from filing false police reports. Aren't there already laws?
Right, but you didn't. Right. But you didn't call.
But people still file police reports, don't they?
That's the slope we're on, bro.
No, it's not.
You don't think people think twice about calling.
So we both agree. There's already laws against filing a false police report, but yet people still file police reports, don't they?
Well, yeah, sure.
Okay, then. So why would it be any difference if there was another level of protections stopping Darrens from Karens from weaponizing the police? It would be no difference.
I just think it's going to slow down the tip. The police ain't going to go for that. They want all the tips, bro. Okay. Racist or not. They want all the tips. That's my perspective on it.
Are the police against these laws that will criminalize filing a false police report? No. It has no impact whatsoever. So why would it be any difference if there's another level of protection based on bias? The logic just don't hold.
We're assuming there's bias involved. We don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is all slippery slope, bro. But be that as it may, I just wanted to talk about it. I thought it was a good time to talk about.
I appreciate.
Did you see them lines out there? You see them lines out there early voting?
Not yet, no.
Man, they on Twitter, bro. Donald Trump in trouble in Hamilton County. I mean, he lost it anyway, but he in big trouble because there was a number of black folks out there lined up ready to go.
I love it. I love it, man. I'm on Twitter right now. I want to put it up on the screen. I love
like that. Go to Sharon Coolidge. She had the video when they opened the door.
I'm on here right now. Sharon Coolidge. Okay. 7 tweets in the last hour.
She had the picture. Yeah.
I see it. I love this. Hey, thanks for the tip on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and no black folks. I don't even see no white folks out there. That's beautiful.
I love it. I'm going to put it on the screen right now.
Yeah, they need to see that. They need to see that. That's what people are doing.
I love it.
I'm doing today.
Yeah, take it easy. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. That's Black Russia checking in. I appreciate the phone call, man. This is from Sharon Coolidge's Twitter page. Oh, I love it. See, this is the reason why Donald Trump was running around trying to stop people from early voting or mail-in voting, because there are people, it ain't even about Joe. For a lot of these people, it's bigger than Joe. It's bigger than Joe for a lot of these people. For a lot of these people, it's about getting Donald Trump out because of the job that he's done. Listen, when you get a shot at the title, then you get a chance to show everybody what kind of leader you are. And he showed us what kind of leader he is. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. I love it. Beautiful black voters. I love it. My people doing what they do out here. I love it. Do your thing. Let me go back to the phones. Hey, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nate.
Good morning.
How are you today? I just want to touch on to that whole slippery slope kind of thing, man. So all these Karens and Darrens, I mean, it's wrong that people call the police on people for no reason, but say somebody was driving by your house and little Buddha was home by herself, and it appears somebody was breaking in, but everybody's like, the guy just locked himself out, and somebody got in with little Buddha. I mean, you don't want that to happen, would you?
Well, no.
Just turn a blind eye.
When you say appears to be breaking in, what does that mean exactly?
I mean, just, some guy can get in with your daughter. You know what I'm saying? I'm a parent too. I don't want that to happen. I would rather somebody call the police on me for a suspicion than my daughter actually getting hurt. So, I mean, you cross these slippery slopes, somebody's going to get hurt because people are going to be afraid to call the police and drop these tips.
No.
Now, you do have a right to face your accuser. So that guy can request a police report and probably submit, criminal charges against her for a false police report. That is an option.
I think there needs to be another level of options in Ohio that would include civil recourse as well, in my opinion. But let's go. But first, what's your name?
Mike. I'm the evil, racist white guy,
Is that right?
Calls in from time to time.
Okay, out of your mouth, not mine. You said Mike, right? I want to put your name up on the screen here, Mike. Appreciate the call.
Yeah.
But back to your example, though. So you said somebody's driving past my home and they see somebody breaking in, or they appears to be breaking in. Well, that's a crime.
Well,
that's a crime in the middle of happening. That's different.
Well, that guy was totally, he was in the right and the woman was in the wrong. I'm just saying if people are afraid to report things, then bad things could happen.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mike.
Saying?
Are you afraid to report a crime?
No.
Okay.
No.
And as we sit here
I
right now,
I ain't gonna call on some dude taking photographs in a park or anything. That's just
of
BS.
course not,
Or some
because-
guy taking a grill in a park, that's just BS. But
exactly, because you're a sane and rational person, right? So that's why I say the part of Black Russia's argument just doesn't hold up to me. And I've read this. Somebody wrote a very interesting piece. I read it this morning about the Karen law they put up in New York, and basically this big time professor was saying that it could dissuade people from stepping forward and reporting crime. I don't believe it, because there's already laws on the books that would criminalize the actions of bearing false witness, filing a false police report. Okay.
Well, that is
it doesn't stop people from filing police reports. It won't. And
that
just
is an actual crime.
What's
I mean, if you do file a police report, you do have a right to face your accuser. I mean, you can request the police report. It's public information.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can apply civil suits against her, right? For, inconveniencing you. I mean, there are laws on the books, but the person themselves has to pursue it, right?
So,
I mean, the cop does do his job. I mean, wasting, police resources with 911 for somebody putting groceries in their car. I mean, come on, we'll all
waste of
laugh at
time.
that. Like, that's bullcrap. That lady should face some kind of civil recourse.
Exactly.
I'm not,
if not criminal. I mean, that's the way our laws are set up. Our laws are set up to be organic, to be flexible, to move with the times, to adapt to human society. We might have laws that are made that are applicable to a future society. That's the way the rules are set up, and it should be set up that way. But I would also say is that police officers go out on these calls. They put their life on the line. If I'm a police officer, I don't want to put my life on the line because of somebody's racial paranoia or bias or loneliness or whatever it is. If I'm putting my life on the line, I want it to be because I'm actually out here trying to stop crime and apprehend criminals and nothing else.
Well, I believe we should get back to community policing, and I believe that we should get back to where communities watch each other. We don't do that no more.
Well,
I mean, I'm fortunate enough to live on a street where, we have people that kind of look out for one another, but you don't have that everywhere anymore. I mean, communities are so broken apart and people mind their business so much that nobody cares what happens to the next person. And we're getting away from, actually being communities.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that may all be true. I can't disagree with your observations. But I disagree with the idea that if we have another level of protection against bias or the weaponization of our police, that is going to make people not call and report on crimes. I don't believe that one bit. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, people will be scared though. I mean, think about it. I mean, if I see something and I'm afraid that I'll be racially profiling somebody, like, oh my God, if I do this and I'm wrong, I'm not going to call and report it.
Well, if you feel that way in that scenario, you probably shouldn't call and report it. That's how I look at it. Like if you feel that way, what that means is what you're observing probably doesn't rise to the level of a call. But even having you said that, if you see a crime about to be committed or you see a real life suspicious situation, that's not going to stop you from making a phone call.
I mean, a suspicion of a misdemeanor or a felony?
I don't know.
It's neither.
I don't know.
I mean, so
But you didn't answer the
if I have
question.
a suspicion and it looks like it, and I could be wrong, but I say I'm going to face civil recourse for getting it wrong, it's like saving somebody's life, the Good Samaritan law.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could be held criminally liable if something happens, even though I tried to save their life. I could be held liable.
Is that how that works?
You know what I'm saying?
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
So are you telling me that you wouldn't try to save somebody's life then, Mike?
Well, of course I would.
Okay.
Depending on who it was.
So again,
I mean,
goes back to
somebody
my
might
point.
have a do not resuscitate. Somebody might have this. Or if I tried to save somebody's life and I failed, they could accuse me of killing them because I interfered.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
You take that liability.
And
that's
you should
where we're getting to a point.
And I think that there's a level of liability that you should take as well in today's world with the interactions that we see between police and black folks primarily when you're making a call. When you're making a call to 911 and you're talking about suspicious behavior, it should be suspicious behavior based upon the behavior and not you projecting your racial bias or whatever issues onto it. It should be real.
Oh, I have no racial
Because
bias.
look at the other side of this.
In all honesty, I consider myself colorblind, and people laugh like, "Ha, colorblind don't exist."
Yeah,
What I
colorblind
mean by
doesn't exist.
colorblind, what I mean by colorblind, I'm colorblind to the Constitution. That Constitution applies to everybody equally. We all have our own culture. We all have our own race. I see black people as black people, white people as white people, and I understand there is an inherent bias in everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But constitutionally, I believe we're all the same. We all have the same rights.
Okay. Oh, well, obviously on that, but that's not what that whole colorblind thing means. That means seeing color, seeing somebody of a different race, and not projecting your bias or your implicit bias into the situation, which I don't believe. I don't believe we live in a colorblind society. Everybody sees race. That's not the issue. The issue is when you see race, do you project your bias or your implicit bias onto that person? That's the real issue.
No. I respect every individual as an individual. We are all individuals. I mean, we all don't think alike. Even in a black person in a black community, we all don't think. Y'all don't think alike. A white person in a white community, we all don't think alike.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's an individual. What I mean by colorblind, and I wowed this black woman that I talk to all the time, and I told her I was colorblind, and she was like, "Well, you don't see me." I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I do. I see you as a black person, and I see all the struggles going on today. We criminalized non-victim crimes. I mean, victimless crimes are criminal. Jaywalking, criminal. I mean, that's stupid. Unless somebody gets hurt, then it's not criminal." And that's how the police have been weaponized. It's all for revenue. White people get affected just as well as black people. I mean,
but not to the same degree.
I agree. And to that, we need to help. The local police need to be held accountable. I mean, government don't run our local police. They don't run our local police. Our local government runs our local police. And that's who you need to hold accountable is your councilmen. I mean, PG Sittenville and all of them, they're all sitting in council. They can do this. They have the power to do this. And what do they do?
You're right. They can do this. They have the power to pass legislation that would give another level of protection to our families and another level of penalty to people that would try to recklessly make phone calls or knowingly, openly weaponize the police because of their own bias.
Oh, yeah. And I
we
think
need to
those
stop
people should
this.
be
We need to
held.
get out ahead of it.
Oh, yeah, we need to hold those people like financially accountable. If you hit them people in the pocketbook and you have liens on their properties because they made a stupid decision and wanted to be racially judging somebody because they didn't like something somebody did or the way they did something, then hit them in the pocketbook. Sue them civilly. Hit them in the pocketbook. Put liens on their stuff. Make it so they can't pay their car payments and stuff like that and lose stuff and be like, well, if you wasn't so stupid and you didn't think about something, maybe that wouldn't have happened.
I have no problem with that.
Right. Well, I mean, we don't need to make a criminal. I mean, we just need to hold them accountable. And we do have that power to hold people accountable.
What's the difference? A penalty is a penalty. I think it should be as severe as possible because on the other side of this, and what we keep forgetting is because it didn't happen in this scenario, is the reason why I think we need these protections is because people's lives are at stake.
Oh, I agree. but I don't want
police
to create
shows
more
up, the
hate.
wrong officer shows up on the wrong day. That whole situation with that black man in Solon, Ohio, could have went lethal. And that's the other side. That's why the penalties need to be so severe and the conversation is so serious, because lives are literally at stake.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, even as a conservative, I agree with you. I mean, you know, this is getting to a point where it's ridiculous.
It is.
I mean, we all need to come together and say, hey, look, government, y'all treat us equally. Everybody has the same rights. Just because that man's black doesn't mean he did something wrong. I don't care what neighborhood he lives in, because, I mean, nice people live in bad neighborhoods. It happens. We all need to come together and agree on this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, accusing Republican, Democrat, this and that, that's just stupid. Us as a community, we all need to stand together and say, hey, Cincinnati, we're sick of this, and let's do it right.
I agree. Hey, Mike, thank you for the call, man. Don't be a stranger, brother.
Hey, man. Oh, I'm not. I listen to you every morning. I just work third shift, and it's hard calling you. I mean, I'm exhausted right now. If I don't make no sense, it's because I get like 3 hours of sleep a night.
Appreciate the call, man. It's Conservative Mike
Hey,
right
have a
there.
good one.
Appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. This is all good conversation because, I don't want to waste my time. And I don't want to waste your time. And my time is becoming more and more scarce. So the time that I spend working on anything, I want it to be something that really has a positive impact for our community. That's 100% my interest. My interest is 100% trying to do something that I think will protect our family. So all of these conversations are super helpful. I appreciate Black Russia. I appreciate the challenge, because it's going to make sure that I'm on top of my game and very, very sharp in my approach as I interact with our elected officials to see what we can do to provide a level of protection here in the city of Cincinnati and also the state of Ohio. So it's all, don't think that I have any problem with it. I do me and I get into my little thing when I'm talking, but I really, really 100% appreciate it. I think this is what's necessary. And these are the kind of conversations that we should be having right now, in my humble opinion. I appreciate it. And these are very smart, intelligent people. Black Russia is a very smart, intelligent man. Mike sounds very smart and intelligent as well. So I appreciate it. And I think we're all Ohioans, Cincinnatians. So we should be having this conversation about our standards. I don't want to just have the conversation and be outraged about it. I want to offer some solutions to these situations as it relates to where I live. I'm from Cincinnati. I'm a son of Ohio. So when I see these situations, that's why I talk about them, because, okay, so what's the remedy? What can we do? How can we remedy the situation? What movement can we make? How can we work with elected officials? How can we empower elected officials to help keep us safe? And I think that there is some room in the city of Cincinnati and the state of Ohio, as I said before. So listen, I'm late for a break, but before we go to break, I want to bring in yet another call and say good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection. I'm going to make this real quick because I know you're going to break.
Yeah, it's all good, brother.
I just want to, thank you, sir. Great show, great topic, great callers as usual. I just want to point out one thing that I haven't heard you talk about yet.
Okay.
And it's in reference to the video you just showed about the young man in the parking lot.
Yes.
And then the video you showed yesterday of the black man who was stopped for jaywalking in Rodeo Drive.
Right.
And the one thing that should be pointed out, and I hope you continue to show these videos, because in both of those scenarios, plus there was another video you showed yesterday, which I'll bring up in a minute, but in those two videos, I'm not going to say you failed to point out, but when you break down these videos, Mr. Ivey, please also break down the fact that a black man who encountered police cooperated, maintained his cool, didn't lose his composure. And the end result was, in both cases, those two black men went home to their families. Now, in the other video you showed of the black woman who was not cooperating and who lost her cool and who lost her composure, ended up hogtied in the back of a police cruiser, driving to the station for 20 minutes, rambling who knows what to the police officer. So that's all I got, Mr. Ivey.
But you know what she said? She said, please, master. She said, please, master, please. I can't breathe. I'm dying. That's what she said.
Well, more than likely, the woman was probably on drugs, Mr. Ivey, because remember, there's something that happened before the cameras started rolling, and then, of course, what happens after the cameras stop rolling. So keep showing those videos of black men encountering police for whatever reason and how they carry themselves, how they behave, because, Mr. Ivey, there are a lot of black men in this country who do not have the guidance, who do not have the example, who do not have the privilege to listen to a podcast like the Nathan Ivey Show, who is hosted by a black man who has a son and who knows how to carry himself in front of the police. So keep showing the videos, Mr. Ivey. Show what happens when a black man cooperates, because we all know what happens when they don't cooperate. That's all I got. Great show. Drop Squad 52, dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Cooperate, you might live.
He said you might, because you might not live. It depends on who shows up, right? We just so accepting of that. It depends on the nature of the officer when he shows up. If you're having a bad day and you want to go there with you, he's going to go there with you. We just accept that. That's one way of looking at it. The other thing is that we're showing black men who did nothing wrong, who keep coming in contact with law enforcement. And I know people like Charles Barkley and Jason Whitlis, aka Jason Whitlock, they've got this belief that as long as you don't commit no crimes, you won't come in contact with police. And of course, these two examples today and the one I showed you yesterday of the brother who was on Rodeo Drive, he's like the VP of sneakers at Versace, leaving the Versace store, just bought some very expensive sneakers. He gets stopped by police, racially profiled, and really harassed. He was really harassed. But let me take a quick break, man. It's 9:03. I'm only with you until about 9:30, maybe a little bit later than that. We might go to 10. A lot of stuff going on this morning. Of course, a couple new shows are coming your way today from Sin Digital Media. Looking forward to that. Should be very, very interesting. I'm very excited. We'll take a quick break and come right back. It's the Nathan Ivey Show, Cincinnati's first daily digital talk show that focuses on the black community. All right, we're live, we're local, and we're vocal right after this.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Okay, I just want to spend a little bit of time while we're in break talking about the necessity of that Patreon feed. I'm putting more and more of my efforts and my energies into providing a great relationship with my patrons because, you know, I 100%, like I would much rather be beholden to the audience than to any advertisers and sponsors. I love working with black-owned businesses here locally. It's been a real unexpected joy to connect businesses with customers. I didn't expect that. But in terms of building, you know, independent media, I would love to go directly to you. So I want to say this again, that for as little as $2 a month, you can help in the mission. You can join the mission to build independent media, black independent media based in the Cincinnati area and beyond. I don't think there's anyone listening to me right now, especially if you're a black person that likes you interact with the media here, that can tell me that we don't need it. And the short time that we've been on the air here online, the Nathan Ivey Show maintains a relevance, and we still break news stories. Again, the latest story brought up was the Bruce Hoffbauer story. We even scoop local media, mainstream media, in breaking that story. And I think that we're just scratching the surface. So I really want you to really consider this morning becoming a patron, getting involved with your dollars. It means everything as we build CDM, Sin Digital Media, and beyond. This is just the beginning. And I'm all about equity. I think we need black media equity in the greater Cincinnati area. We need unfiltered, fearless, and tearless reporting on what's really going on. And that's exactly what I plan to bring to the audience, to the city, and perhaps beyond. So again, thank you for this time. And now we'll get back to our regularly scheduled break.
With the Bloomberg Black Business Report, I'm Donna Wilson.
A conservative legal group has sued the state of California over a new law that will require hundreds of California-based corporations to have directors from racial or sexual minorities on their boards. Judicial Watch claims the law is unconstitutional. Well, historical Black colleges and universities empowers students. Although HBCUs comprise of 3% of the country's colleges and universities, they enroll 10% of African Americans and produce almost 20% of all African American graduates. The Hill reports HBCUs help produce 40% of African American engineers, 50% of Black lawyers, 80% of Black judges, and 70% of Black physicians and dentists. That's your Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
Jill Schiller has been missing in action, and now we know why. Did you know that Jill Schiller, candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, got away with a dangerous offense? Her friends and connections at Cincinnati City Hall turned their heads when she was racing through a Cincinnati public school zone doing 52 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. She could have killed a child. As a mother of 3, that's concerning. 25,000 children are injured each year because of speeding in a school zone. 100 children are killed in school zones each year by people like Schiller. Schiller should have served 5 days in jail as the law states, but being privileged kept her out while you, the public, would have gone to jail. Her friends and connections at City Hall only fined her $60, and they quickly destroyed the evidence the next day. We cannot trust Schiller with our school children. Should we trust her to protect and safeguard our tax dollars? Vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. We can trust him to safeguard our tax dollars and our children.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is Zoe Wesson. What side of history do you want to be on? The right side, or one where Black people continue to be underrepresented in Hamilton County? Now's your chance to end 230 years of exclusion. In Charlie Winburn, we have a man that's received the Cincinnati NAACP President's Award, who fought on the Ohio Civil Rights Commission for 6 years, who received the Baptist Ministers Conference Community Service Award. Charlie Winburn has received the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Award and was honored by WDBZ The Buzz as Pastor of the Month. We know Charlie Winburn, and he knows us. He's the right man to put us on the right side of history. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
I am Charlie Winburn, and I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, November the 3rd, paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
You're listening to The Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now, let's get back to the flow.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Nathan Ivey with you. It was brought to my attention there were long lines. Today is the first day of early voting. I want to say shout out to all the people, man, that have been working so hard over the last month to really educate voters in the greater Cincinnati area, all the media outlets that have been doing forums, some better than others. I mean, I don't understand how you can hold a forum with the Hamilton County Sheriff's candidates and not ask Bruce Hoffbauer about, his time in Vortex and killing an unarmed Black man back in the 90s. I just don't understand it, but it is what it is. Why is CPS calling me? I'm busy, CPS. Have you heard the latest? CPS is saying that on October the 12th, which is Monday, they're going to go to blended learning. And I had to go off on parents that are putting pressure on the school system to rush the babies back to school just so you don't have to be inconvenienced. That's what I see. Just because you don't have the tools necessary to take care of your children every day. I'll say it again. CPS is not responsible for your kids every day. It's a pandemic. I don't get it. Obviously, there are forces forcing this hand. And I don't understand why CPS just doesn't stay with the virtual learning option. That should have been the very first thing, or one of the first things they came up with. Virtual learning, stay at your school. It just makes sense, people. It just makes sense. It's logical. It's logical. It just makes sense. I'm in a chop shop. NBA Homeboy writes, Nathan, sir, that tree metaphor is wiggy, wiggy, whack. Alt Middle was born in the streets and brought to the chop shop. I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not sure. I hear you. I'll stand by it. Clue Magic writes, Grand Risings ain't the choppers. King Klobai writes, stand back and stand by, Karen. Brother Mazone writes, good morning, choppers. CG Dub writes, good morning, choppers. Good morning to all the choppers. Where's the chopper music at? We got to get the choppers. We got to get the chopper. Yeah. No, we don't want to play that. Where are you, chopper music? Here we go. Get to the chopper! Brother Mazone writes, CPS has some incompetent people on the school board. Really? Who? Who do you think is incompetent? Your words, not mine, but who do you think is incompetent? What I would say is I'm wondering what is so wrong with staying virtual learning throughout the rest of the school year? What's wrong with that? At the very least, throughout the rest of the year. So while coronavirus is running rampant through the White House, and these are people that you would assume have like the top flight medical, professionals working with them in the world, we're supposed to send our babies back into a public school setting. Now, as plans go, it seems like their plan is as good as it could be. It could be better. It should be a virtual learning option. And then the other thing is that parents, when you get the notification, you're only going to have a few days. I think you have up until October the 9th, which is that Friday? Yeah, that's Friday to make a decision as to whether your kids are going to stay in virtual learning or not. You only got to the 9th. It's not a lot of time. And I don't get it. In my opinion, and again, I don't have the insight as a superintendent. I'm not in her position. I'm sure that's a tough position. She's got all the facts and figures. I'm just talking as one man, one microphone, one mission. In my opinion, stay virtual 100% throughout the rest of the school year. We haven't even got through flu season. Can we wait till we get to flu season to see how that works? And this herky-jerky back and forth, there is no human being that is effective in what they do, that works well in an environment in which you don't know what to expect. There is no human being in the planet that works their best in an environment when you don't know what to expect. Herky-jerky back and forth. We're going to go to school, not going to schools. But we don't make a decision and bring a foundation to the game. That's what I say, but that's just me. There, 911, there's a white person looking at me, help, right? Now, I tell you what, we have people calling in talking about, we want to pontificate and get intellectual about it. Let black people start calling 911 on white people. And then when the police catch up with them, it's like nothing there. I guarantee that the police circle back around and tell you about yourself. I guarantee they come to your house and say, look, tell us the story again. I tell you what, that doesn't really rise to the level of 911 call. Like, you can, but here are the repercussions of that. Let black folks start calling 911, and then when the police start catching up with the white suspicious people, they find out there's nothing there. I guarantee that the police will circle back around, start putting out statements like, hey, folks, let's make sure we use 911 properly. You don't want to waste police time and effort and resources. But when it's white folks, it's just like, oh, well, we just got to deal with this part of the system. F that. F that. I ain't with it. I don't believe it. Tiffany writes, there is no logic in your thinking. You will hurt your brain trying to figure these Karens out. No, I understand how what it is two things. Some of these Karens and Darrens look at the police as their personal police force. Some of these Karens and Darrens are very intelligent people, and they understand the racial dynamics that are involved with white police and black suspects. They know full well. They know what's going on. And they try to use it to their advantage. In some cases, it's a personal issue. In other cases, they're projecting their racial paranoia into a situation, and then they want the police to resolve it for their own personal self-satisfaction. That's what I understand completely. That woman in New York, I understand completely. She got caught in her white fragility, and then she didn't know what time it was. She thought it was the early 1900s. I'm going to call the law. Don't you be looking at a white woman, boy, and all this kind of stuff. That's what it was. I understand completely. What I don't understand is any black person that will argue against protections for black people in Cincinnati and Ohio. I don't understand that. I don't understand the slippery slope argument that, well, you know, if we start persecuting people that, I don't know, make false 911 calls knowingly, and we start giving them criminal penalties, well, then honest people that legitimately have a concern will stop calling. That hasn't stopped you. It hasn't stopped you from filing a police report. It hasn't stopped anybody so far. So why would it stop? Again, when you start talking about protecting black people, all of a sudden, people start pontificating. All of a sudden, we don't understand that we got to think about the slippery slope and all this other nonsense. Knock it off. Knock it off. That white woman is a typical racist, malignant, and then he used the C word. I won't use it. Jason writes, fast pitch, I know. That's why I'm tired of hearing that as a status quo. Solana, Ohio is primarily upper middle class white area, and she got what she wanted. See, that's the other thing about this, is that the other reason why they do this is a level of intimidation. And the black man gave her what she wanted. We heard it in the audio clip. He's like, well, you know, I had to think twice about coming back to shop here. That's why she did it. It's because she don't want to see no black folks when she's shopping. That's what I think. She would feel more comfortable when she goes to her grocery store in her neighborhood than if she didn't have to deal with the darker element. And so she knows full well the ramifications of it. And that's why I say, like, when to honest people, if you're not caught up in the game or any kind of way, and the game is criminal enterprise, street game in any kind of way, when you get stopped by the police, that sticks with you. You don't just forget that. And so if the black man had to deal with a face-to-face confrontation with the police and explain himself, so should the Karen. And that's why I say at the very least, the police has circled back around. Mrs. Karen, we want to talk to you about that police report. And face-to-face and let her know, hey, listen, it's within your rights to file, the call. But from what we're gathering, it was nothing. You didn't see anything. You didn't see him breaking no windows, nothing like that. If somebody is driving around without a license plate, that's visible. Believe me, the police are gonna stop him, especially if it's a black person driving the car. We don't need you calling, Karen. So essentially, she called the police on a traffic incident. Well, there was no license plate. So let me get this straight. You think that and this is what they should say to her. You think that this man bought groceries, he paid for the groceries, took the vehicle license plate off the vehicle, which, what would that do if you're driving around the streets of Ohio as a black man with no license plate? What would that do? Wouldn't that raise suspicions? Is that normal for people to take the light? She's been watching too much CSI. Does that make any sense? If I steal a vehicle, I don't want to take the license plates off because that's going to raise suspicions. None of it makes sense. And they should sit down with Mrs. Karen and tell her that face to face. And they should also remind her of any criminal penalties for bearing false witness and wasting police resources. That's what they should do at the very least. Because then the black man is left with his face-to-face interaction and the emotional duress or whatever, and then so is the Karen. That's at the very least. If I'm a police officer, don't send me on some wild goose chase. I don't want to be stopping cars unless I really have to stop cars. Don't put me in harm's way just because you feel something and, some dumb issues going on. He was looking around suspiciously like, What everybody looks around. I see people. I was over at Whole Foods the other day. I see people looking around. You should be looking around because these dumbass drivers, these opioid heads, these dog heads, you could be putting groceries in your car and get rear-ended. You never know what's going to happen these days. You got to have your head on a swivel out here. Not being paranoid, but you should understand where you are, who's around you, and what's happening. If you're not, you're a potential victim out here. Chris writes, I spend 1.5 hours in Kroger every weekend. I wish Karen would. I do everything you said. Absolutely. The whole Miss West is racist and has held many people of color back for decades. Absolutely. Dale Rice is the suburban Cleveland area. Anthony Rice, false reporting. Brian Rice is only a waste of time and resource when you believe the police have an otherwise noble purpose. This is modern day loitering laws-ish. This is part of what they are for. Karen is keeping white supremacy oiled and tooled. Jericho writes, wonder why they haven't released the lady's name who called. Exactly. Her name should be released at the very least. Fast Pitch writes, yeah, but I think it's more about the location than the store itself. I think so too. You may get a different response from a grocery store on Sims Township than you would in Coleraine Township. I agree. Chris writes, she said he had a stolen car. That's what her strong implication was. Woody writes, what's wrong with this Negro Black Russia? He has lost his mind. Clifton writes, like Nate said, it's real crimes that could have been handled. Anthony writes, he might be right this time. Police shouldn't respond unless a description of a crime is given. Not a black person looks suspicious to me, right? Danita writes, all right, parents, I laugh and joke about new rules, but this is serious. As your kids head back to school buildings, make sure that the school has good contact information. Make sure all of your phone numbers are up to date. Make sure, if at all possible, have 3 emergency contacts with good working phone numbers. Having emergency contacts with the same phone home doesn't help the school if your child is sick or hurt and there isn't anyone at home during the school day. Just an FYI, check your emergency forms with your child's school. Having led programs inside of CPS before and after school programs, very proud of my accomplishments and the work we did on behalf of those children and their parents. I'm here to tell you that, Danita, unfortunately, that's a real thing. I could never understand it. Like, why would you leave your kid with somebody else? And you know damn well we don't have the most up-to-date cell phone number. I'll never understand it. Like, I was that after-school director 2 hours after, the program ended. I got black kids in my charge and my responsibility. All the staff went home because that's how it goes. The director has to stay. And I can't get in contact with parents. These are black people. Parents come walking in like, oh, laughing. Then I got to be the bad guy. I got to sit down and tell you that, okay, here are the options. And the option is, in that case, is I'm supposed to call 241 kids. Now, what I look like as a black man calling 241 kids on these black kids, black family, because I can't get in contact with them. You put a person like me between a rock and a hard place. I was there. I did not call 241 kids. That's a very serious step that I didn't really want to take unless it's absolutely necessary because I know how the game is. At the same time, those are the tools that were given to people like me in that situation. Telling you got to be responsible for your children. I don't care if they're CPS or not. You have to be responsible for your kids. They're your children. If you're in that situation thinking about having children, you need to think about the long game. You need to think 8, 9, 10, 12 years down. Do I have what's necessary to really successfully take care of these children? If not, don't have them. It's real simple. Take it any way you want to. Lamedia writes, Black Russia sounds like a scared black man. Well, I appreciate the conversation. We just had a difference of agreement. Anthony writes, you scream by asking what the person is doing. That is a crime, right? Dale writes, she implied criminal activity. Jerica writes, WTF, she said, I hope you get him. Right, I hope you get him. For what? Because in her racist mind, this black man had to be doing something. Had to be doing something. Did he break a window? No. Did you see him trying to, hotwire the cars, if that's even possible? They make it seem like it's so easy. All you got to do is just break down some like hard plastic, grab 2 wires and splice it together. And once you see the spark, the car just starts. That's how they do it in the movies, right? Something tells me in the real world it's a little different. Dale writes, this guy is 100% wrong. Clifton writes, she implied. Yeah, she most certainly implied a crime was going on. No doubt about it, 100%. 100% she did. No doubt about it. And twice on Sunday. She was implying that the man had did something wrong, when in fact, he's scared out of his boots now. Oh, man. Scared out of his boots. Trump removes mask during return to the White House and draws outrage. We can talk about that. But I really want to talk about, let me go to Andy Black's Twitter page because, that's a local story as people are getting ready to start early voting today, which I think is absolutely great. Early voting means everything. Vote early as much as possible. My wife and I are probably going to early vote at the Board of Elections. If we don't do it today, we'll do it sometime within the week. Get it over with. Get out ahead of the game. You know what I'm saying? It means everything. Don't wait until the last day. But, Andy Black, I'm looking to see if he is going to issue an apology or at least distance himself from what appears to be a racist political flyer that was mailed to people's house. But of course, he's doubling down. I'll be on 55 KRC tomorrow morning at 8:05 a.m. to talk about the desperation being shown by my opponent in the beginning of early voting. Tune in. I mean, again, that's just the way the media climate is set up here in the city. And primarily you see this from white candidates, white Republican candidates. They keep running to the same 2 radio stations because they know they're going to get softball questions and a softball situation. They keep running to 55 KRC with Brian Thomas because they know that Brian Thomas is a willing accomplice to anything that the local Republican Party wants to say and do. When it comes to analyzing politics, man, he is so deep with it when it comes to Barack Obama or Joe Biden. But when it comes to the local Republican Party, he talk about the stand back and stand down. That's his attitude. So Andy Black runs to 55 KRC. And they love to talk about what their opponents are not doing. Meanwhile, they run from this show like scared rats. They run from this show because they know that here on this show with me, with us, they're going to be held accountable intellectually to what they say they do, the way they put themselves forward. So 15 hours ago, instead of releasing a statement where he distanced himself from the subtly racist, eeny, meeny, miny, mo political flyer, you know what I'm saying, catch a N-word by its toe, he doesn't issue a statement on that. No, he issues a statement saying that Alicia Reese, Andy Black reacts to absurd claims of racism. Andy, how is it absurd if it's true, Andy? How is it absurd if it's true? On Monday morning, the Cincinnati Enquirer, let me see if I can put this on the screen for you. I'm not sure you're going to be able to really read it because it's kind of small print, but I mean, at least for the visual, it might give you a different look. Let me put this on the screen here. I don't think you can see. Let me see if I can blow it up. I don't think you're going to be able to see. This is straight from Andy Black. He's a white male Republican who is unqualified to run against. Let me say this. He doesn't have the same qualifications as Alicia Reese. Nowhere close in terms of running for political office as a Hamilton County commissioner. But anyway, it is what it is. I mean, he's got the right to do what he wants to do. To be clear, Alicia Reese refuses to debate publicly, has offered no new ideas for growing our entire county, and yes, she has time to hold a press conference over a nursery ride. Only in 2020. Well, I was the moderator for the conversation with Andy Black, and I with the NAACP, and I'm here to tell you, I sat back and watched it in a way that nobody else could as the moderator. And I didn't hear any ideas from Andy Black. What I heard from Andy Black over and over again was that he needed to wait and see what he was going to do once he gets into the office. That's what I heard over and over again. The most innovative, and it isn't even innovative, but the most interesting thing that Andy Black has ever said, and it's a truism because we all agree with this, is that we need to renegotiate the deal between the Bengals and Hamilton County. But you don't have to be a Hamilton County commissioner candidate to come up with that. We all know that. We all know that. And the fact that Andy Black would reduce these concerns to just a nursery rhyme should send a message to all black people and anyone that rocks with black people that Andy Black is tone deaf when it comes to matters of race. He is tone deaf. He don't know and he don't care. That means he's not going to make a commitment to diversity, which, if you know anything about it, will only weaken Hamilton County. It means he's not going to make a commitment to building black wealth, which, if you know anything about it, is only going to weaken Hamilton County. You talk about playing games. Like I said, if the Hamilton County Republican Party has to stoop to racist tropes, subliminal racist messaging, it says a lot about what they have to offer if Andy Black should win. If Andy Black should win, all it's going to do is weaken the Hamilton County commissioner, because he'll be the white dude that's telling the two Democrat females and running all that Chris Monzel nonsense. That's all he's going to do. He's going to run around and talk about Democrats and Republicans. Oh, the Democrats want to spin, and I don't want to. Later for that, Buster. Later for that. Later for that. That's just my humble opinion. Janine writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Good morning to you. Dale writes, I don't understand his point at all. Cruther writes, this guy is wearing me out. Next caller, please. Tammy writes, he's lost. Why wouldn't we want Karen's behavior stopped? Somebody is going to get killed. Yeah, I didn't understand the logic in Black Russia's argument at all. I couldn't understand it. I'm like, wait a minute. We're talking about a life and death situation here. We've seen this before. You know, interactions between police and black men as suspects can end lethally. It can end, it's deadly. Why would we want to promote this when it's made up or somebody's paranoia? You know what I'm saying? When you call on the police, you should have a good damn reason why you're doing it. Period. And if you don't, you're putting people's lives in jeopardy and you should be held accountable for it. Period. Woody writes, Russia been yakking it up this morning. Has he been? What is that, beer or something? It's supposed to eliminate the misuse of 911 by making calls based on one's own prejudices. Right. Right. Anthony writes, I think it's still up to police to make the decision to respond based on the information that they receive. Someone putting groceries in a car at a grocery store, to me, is not something I would respond to. Somebody says Black Russia needs to rethink his thoughts a little bit. Iris writes, she didn't describe a crime. Right. She described her personal feelings about what someone was doing. But she didn't say, hey, I just saw this man break a window and reach into the car, right? And start the car. Now, had that happened, okay, that raises to the level of a plausible suspicion. If the police stopped the black man and found out that he broke his own window because he left his wallet in the car, and that was the only thing he could think to do, okay. I mean, breaking a car window is a lot more suspicious than putting groceries in the back of a car. I can understand that. But that's not what happened. The 911 operator should do more probing. I agree. One question to the caller should be, is the skin color of who you are accused the main reason for your call? Oh man, that would stop them in their tracks. Are you racially profiling another citizen? You do understand that if this call is not criminal in nature, you can become a civil liability. It can become a civil liability to you. If your claims are found to be zealously biased, do you wish to continue with your complaint? You just gave me something to think about, TNT. I appreciate that. Let me see. He's giving me a damn headache. I could not stand circular debates. 911 is a request for emergency intervention. Greg writes, I got to hand it to you, Nate. You spend more time debating callers than any other radio host I know. Comes with the territory. I mean, I don't know if it's a debate. We're just having a conversation. You know what I'm saying? We can agree to disagree. That's the good part about, I think, media and the talk radio is the conversation. It's a clash of ideas. We can go hard, and when the call over, it's over. I don't even think nothing else about it. I mean, it's just I might think, oh, that person was wrong, but that person's probably thinking the same thing about me. Somewhere Black Russia's shaking their head like, y'all Negroes just don't know. That's the territory that's what comes with the territory. That's why I love radio. That's why I love talk radio. I love media. I love digital media because we can talk it out. I'm not saying I'm right. I just want to get to the bottom of it. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Nate? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Mason Mahler, what's up, man?
Can you hear me okay?
I do hear you. Well, you sound a little distant, but I think you're registering well.
Here, is that better?
About the same. But, I mean, I think it's still good enough.
I don't know. Maybe it's my computer causing interference. I got all type of stuff going around here. I got like a little war room going. So, but Nate, I'm sorry, man. And, being a professional that you are, I know you don't want to, just put the people's elbow down on people and just, you want to beat the facts into their head. And I can hear the exasperation in your voice when it calls. I truly don't understand people trying to defend these Karens out here. And what you're asking is something very simple. If we already have laws on the books as far as filing police reports or misuse of public services, then why aren't we prosecuting these people? And you have specific examples with this guy. I mean, he's loading groceries into his own damn car. This is nothing but Ronald Ritchie, 3.0, 6.0? I mean, how many more incidences is this going to happen to where we're going to, have a Tamir Rice incident, another John Crawford incident? Those were 911 calls. And I'm like, Nate, I don't get it, man. Like I said, I appreciate you being a professional, man, but I would go to hell off of some of these people because it's like common sense. And it's another thing that we lost in 2020, Nate. Again, I say this all the time. Is that what we're doing now? And if it's not this guy who's getting the police call, it could be you. Cam's joking about it, like, Lynn, be careful, out there in Mason ordering your groceries. I do the grocery pickup. I couldn't fathom somebody, me and Miles in the car waiting or putting our groceries in the car. Some white lady called the police on me. I'm not going to be understanding. I'm not going to be like, well, she saw what she saw and legally, you really can't. The hell with that. She put me and mine in danger over some BS. I want everything thrown at her that could be possibly thrown at her. Because I've seen too many incidents where people get caught up on some crazy stuff because you got the Ronald Ritchies and the Karens out there. That's the truth. Am I lying or flying, Nate?
You flying. I'm with you 100%.
So I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Let me get back to work, man. You hear my phone ringing, but I just had to call in there because, again, I don't understand the foolishness. I call, like I said, QCTs, not a QCKs. Quad capers for Karen.
QCKs?
I mean, what the hell? QCKs. We got QCTs, quad capers for Trump. Now we got quad capers for Karen. Get the hell out of here. So what's next? We got a defense for the barbecue lady? Well, legally they weren't supposed to be in that particular place. Well, she didn't call on anybody else, but she called on the black folks. And they out there barbecuing. I don't know. They could be out there busting up AutoZone windows, carrying around a black umbrella and a gas mask. No, they out there grilling some damn short baby back ribs and some beef mets. Give these people a break. But you know what, Nate? Only if you cooperate. That ain't even the damn point, is it? Remember the FBI agent that they racially profiled, Nate? The guy that had the accent. I saw the video. Where was he from? Like Cameroon or something? The Caribbean? The brother? They had him all mixed up.
Where is this at now?
The FBI agent. You've seen the video. You probably about 2 months ago.
Right. And the guy, and they put his hands behind his back, went to his back pocket, got his wallet out, and realized he was an FBI agent, then let him go. He started berating him.
And he went off on him, didn't he?
He started berating
him. He didn't give him Yeah, and right, he had righteous indignation.
Right, he was just sitting there.
And just sitting there. Don't bother me. That's the point. Leave me the hell alone. That's the point. It ain't about cooperation. It ain't about, well, legally, they can't do something to them because, the hell with all that. Leave me the hell alone. That should be the basic point. I ain't bothering you. You don't bother me. Look it up. The least likely to catch a case. And you want to mess, man, see, I've said this before, Nate. The criminals, we don't really care what they criminals. They know the game. It's the regular folks. When you start turning regular people that, someone got a little respect for you. Know how hard a job it could be. It can be. But when you start messing with us, that's when we got problems. I mean, Nate, help me figure it out. How is it that we got cell phone cameras everywhere? Everywhere. But you don't have a lot of black people calling the police on white people. How is that? We got cell phone cameras everywhere, but you don't see a lot of black officers doing a George Floyd to a Bubba Floyd. Explain that to me, Nate. Why isn't there like a black Sam DeBose, Ray Tensing out there? Oh, that's right. The one guy, what was he, the brother from, Ethiopian? Up in Minnesota when he shot the white lady because he, feared for his life.
Right.
Yeah, they sent him to jail.
Yeah, he's in jail.
Yeah, I didn't hear Dan Hills or the National FOP coming to his defense. Isn't it funny how that worked, Nate?
Yeah, it is funny.
Give it to me straight, Dad. You know what I'm saying? So, man, like I said, I'm last night I'm listening to Bruce Hoffbauer down the Dow, and they trying to play Fanon Rucker like, he's going to be this left-wing, anarchist, anti-police, won't lock up the criminal types. Oh, they already playing that card.
Are they?
Like I said, oh, hell yeah, Nate. I mean, they're not even pretending anymore. I mean, they turn racism into a jingle. If you're racist and you know it, clap your hands. If you're a redneck and you're a white supremacist and a Proud Boy, stomp your feet. They got it all down, Nate.
They do have it all down. But that's all they can say about Fanon. And that, again, that's more that Willie Horton-esque type of politicking. They're hoping that people will look at his skin color and the fact that he's a Democrat endorsed candidate and assume that he's kind of some kind of anti-police because all black people are anti-police. They're playing on people's ignorance.
And they had Norbert Nadel call in, Judge Norbert Nadel.
Really?
Of course, Dan Hills called in. Yeah. It's amazing. These guys get off of the bench or, be former prosecutors, get on the radio station, and they show you just how much of a freaking conservative racist they really are. And it makes you wonder. Like Mike Allen, for example. This guy was a cop, a prosecutor, and a judge. And the attitude he shares on the radio, I'm like thinking that he's the type that would lock you up on some racist stuff.
And a creep. Mike
he
Allen
would
was
arrest
also
you on some racist stuff.
And
he would prosecute you on some racist stuff.
Mike Allen was also a creep and a sexual harasser of one of his employees.
Right.
So don't forget that.
And they gave him a job.
Yeah,
they gave him another job.
He's clean now. He's like went through some kind of morality car wash. He's clean now, and now he can give moral opinions on radio. Where they do that at?
Well, apparently they do it in Cincinnati, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, let me get back to work, Nate. I had to go off, man. I had to get that off my chest.
Appreciate the call, man. That's Mason Marlin.
I appreciate you taking my call, man.
Yep,
right.
one. Appreciate it. Yeah, Mike Allen's like giving. He went through some kind of morality car wash. All he did was he was a creep while he was the Hamilton County prosecutor. Entered into a sexual relationship with a subordinate, and when she was like, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. He tried to pressure her into continuing a sexual relationship, and she went public about it. But now all of a sudden he's like some brand new voice on white male radio, let's call it what it is, and we supposed to listen to him, and even local mainstream media goes to him for their opinions. Why would you go to him for an opinion? So he's clean, but the sister, and all she tried to do was to get some city funding to open a business on the banks. She's been vilified. Liz Rogers has been vilified in the minds of some folks. She can't do no wrong because she dared to get city funding to open a black-owned restaurant on the banks. She's dirty forever. But Mike Allen, all he was a creep and a sexual harasser. Run around his office with a lampshade on his head and a tie around his neck with no shirt on and his boxers, his Pete Rose boxers, trying to force a woman to have sex with him, and he's married, and she don't want to be with you no more. But that's cool. This is amazing. This city is amazing. I speak facts. Somebody look it up. I speak facts. And it's just normal. It's like we just accept it. That's just the way it is. And the reason is they're scared. Let me tell you what these white males that in the Republican Party hate to see. Let me tell you what Donald Trump hates to see. I showed it to you earlier. This is the image that they hate to see. And I'm not saying that this is the say all and be all, because quite honestly, I think it's all about that money. It's about wealth building. Black folks got enough money to build their own systems and businesses, then we can take care of our problems on our own. We don't need you. But let me tell you something that Donald Trump hates to see. Let me show you something that Alex Triantafilou hates to see. They all hate to see this right here. They don't want to see this. They hate seeing this. Black people going to the polls. They hate to see this today. Oh, they don't want to see this. Bruce Hoffbauer don't want you to vote. He don't want you to vote. Andy Black, he don't want you to vote. This is what they fear right here. Black people lined up with masks on. It's cold outside. All the stereotypes about black people not braving the weather. They out here voting. Donald Trump is afraid of this image right now. Look at that. They are fearful as hell. That's why they all posseing up on white male radio talking ish about primarily black candidates. Because they're trying to rally the white suburban but not woke vote. White folks that really, they're low information voters in some cases. They really don't know Fanon Rucker. Fanon Rucker is going to be just as tough on crime and even probably more so than Joe Dieters. Fanon Rucker is not one of these types who's going to be soft on crime. I don't want no soft on crime prosecutor. That's not what we want. And the idea, anybody that says that we want that is racist. That's not what people want. We just want somebody that's going to bring a different style and have the office of the prosecutor be more equitable in terms of their prosecutions, their time, their energy, the drug forfeiture, who gets a job at the prosecutor's office. I mean, Cam, can we diversify the prosecutor's office? You know, what's funny is Andy Black and the Republicans got the nerve to call out Alicia Reese for not wanting to debate. But where was Joe Dieters at the NAACP Prince Hall Mason forum? Where was he? Where was he? He just knew he was going to get a level of questioning and a time and detail that you're not going to get from some of these other media outfits. It's just not going to do it. You know, he's going to ask you some like, say 2 good things about your opponent. I don't give a damn. We're trying to get to the heart of how you feel about these policies. What is the direction? How do you feel about the issues that matter to us? You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was watching WLW, and the very last question they asked, and again, shout out to Charmaine McGuffey, because I think she found a way to still make the most out of the question, as smart, intelligent people can do. They had the nerve to ask the last question, like, it's been such a contentious race. Say something nice about your opponent. Something nice? Well, I guess it's nice that Charmaine McGuffey didn't kill an unarmed man back in the 90s. I guess that's nice. That's the first thing that jumped in my head. That's the first thing that jumped in my head. Say something nice. Let me show you again. This is what they fear, black people. That right there is what they fear. They don't want you to go to those. They want you to talk about how it's cold and COVID and you got to stand in line. Man, I'm going to be in line too, because we're going to get busters out of office. We getting busters out of office. Simple as that. You got to go. Bye. And see, Trump is so polarizing that people are going to come out to vote against him and then vote down the ticket. That's what's going to happen. Watch. Maybe. We'll see. That's what's going to happen. So be mindful, black folks. And again, at this point, it is what it is. I mean, if you haven't registered, oops, my bad. We'll see you on the next one, right? This one is over for you. If you're not registered and you didn't vote, I would just take a second to say to you to really, really think that through moving forward, especially as it regards to local elections, where you live, where your children live, things like that. Hey, Marcia became a patron this morning. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I really do. Marcia became a patron this morning. Appreciate that. Thank you for joining the mission. I'm on a mission to build independent media in the city of Cincinnati that'll have reaches throughout the entire world, quite honestly, with the digital space. But we're going to start here right now because, I mean, just talking about some of these issues today underscores it even more. For as little as $2 per month, you can join that mission as we raise the necessary funds. You can't build anything without funds. I don't care who you are and what you're doing. And you can see what I'm doing every day. I'm showing you, I'm coming through for my patrons. And it's a very, very, very necessary line of communication because it's reciprocal and also funding as we move forward. Just keep watching. Just keep watching, keep supporting on all levels. I appreciate you. You can go to my website, nathanivey.com, click on the support tab this morning and, do whatever you feel that you want to do. But as little as $2 per month, you can join the mission. And this is crowdfunding. I've never done this before. I'm doing it because it's necessary. I 100% believe in this mission. I'm dedicated to it. And we will be successful. There's no doubt about it. But 100%. And even more successful more quickly with your help. And what you're seeing right now is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. This is not the end. We're not at the middle. We are just taking baby steps. But your support, your funding will allow us to move faster. And in this space, that's exactly what we need to do. Most certainly. Cincinnati, Black Cincinnati will never reach its potential with the same old media landscape. It'll never happen. It'll never happen because we don't control enough of our narratives. I mean, there's a lot of it that we control. There's some folks out there doing great work. I 100% respect it and would love to work with you to move forward. But from what I see with my attitude, an unfiltered, fearless, tearless attitude, I think there's a lot more that we can do, a lot more that we can do. And I'm 100% focused on doing just that. And I just need your help. So again, you can go to patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show or go directly to my website, nathanivey.com, click on the support tab and, do fit in where you feel. Again, as little as $2 per month, which if you do the math, would be $24 per year. You can join the mission. It's a whole new line of communication. I do shows specifically for my Patreons called Fade to Black on various levels. And you can be a producer of the show. You can interact on a level that the other folks just don't. And you can join the mission. And I appreciate you in advance. Got about 6 minutes left. Let's move forward. Sean writes, next call, please. Dorothy writes, defund police unions. Defund police unions. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's much more likely that local politicians rethink and reprioritize our public tax dollars. When I see defund the police, I think, okay, people are just saying we want to rethink where the money goes. Not that you want to defund the police, but perhaps we put money in other places. Perhaps there's some money that can be saved, even within the police department. Don't let them use fear to take our tax dollars and waste it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Brian writes, these acts of attempted racial terror are a national issue, not a local issue. Sit down, dude. It is a national issue. But I also think it's a statewide issue. And I also think it's a local issue. But you're right. It's going on all over the country. It's happening all over the country. And again, what I am, offering or pushing has already been done. They've already done it in many cities and states across the union. I'm just saying that the state of Ohio and Cincinnati should be on the front end trailblazing like these other cities and states. That's all I'm saying. I mean, why is it that they're doing it to have protections for their citizens and we sitting back twiddling our thumbs? I don't get that. You know, for far too long, in my opinion, Ohio and Cincinnati in particular is on the back end of these innovations as it relates to, you know, protections and, you know, policies. We should be on the front end, right? And I want the national story to be from Cincinnati and Ohio that we are joining those other cities and states to understand and recognize that there's something that you can do. We don't have to sit back and just accept the status quo and just say, oh, well, and give in to what people say are slippery slopes. I don't believe it one bit. I don't believe it one bit. Let me see. Brian writes, is this guy a libertarian? Not sure. He might be. You're talking about Mike, conservative Mike. He just said he's conservative. I guarantee he supports Trump. So how does he really feel about us? Question mark. Let me see. TNT writes, I agree. Good call, Mike, aka white racist guy. I don't know if he was racist. I mean, we'll see. I mean, hopefully Mike will feel cool enough to call back in. That's not the first time he's called in. He's called in maybe 2 times before that I can remember, but he said he's doing third shift. I did third shift in my life. Whew. Third shift is nothing to play with. You are, I don't know what it is, man, but you are done in the morning. Done. I'm not a big fan of third shift. Like, I would do it if it fit my family's purposes and what I had to do as a father and a husband. I'll do whatever I have to do. You know that, but I don't prefer it because my whole body clock is out of whack. You know, you end up sleeping through the whole day. You can't get anything done to the weekend. Then you still want to sleep because your body's still trying to get accustomed to it. I'm not a big fan of third shift. The only third shift I want to do is, well, I won't go that far. Let me see. Jekyll writes, oh, Lord. Sean writes, this wouldn't happen in New York without the Karen catching hell from the African-American community. I've heard 2 callers attempt to justify Karen's actions. Chris writes, yes, preach. That's because the police kept us cool and did not escalate the situation. Right. Absolutely. Philando Castile cooperated. Where is he dropped? Absolutely. Great point, Daryl. The brother said, I just want to let you know I'm a conceal and carry permit and I got my weapon in the car. And he got shot in the chest, point blank range. This idea that as a black person in America, that as long as you don't do anything wrong, that you don't have to get in contact with police is wrong. Now, where I do agree with Drop, and I've said this many times before, is that we got to be smart in our interaction with police. You ain't got to get all hyped up and start screaming and yelling. All you're going to do is to give them a rationale to do something to you that you don't want them to do. Be cool. Be cool. To all my black people in Cincinnati, Ohio, and across the country, I'll say it to you again. You have to do 2 things. You got to put some money away, or perhaps you start preparing for legal services, because call it rainy day Karen and Darren services, because you might have to use it one day. And then secondly, you need to be prepared to go to jail to be processed, right, at any moment. Whether you in your house or you leave your house, so you ain't got to get on your knees and call some white police officer master and groveling. I ain't doing none of that. I'm just going to stay cool as a fan. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. And if I have a case, I'm going to take the case to the fullest extent of the law and my capabilities. But I'm not going to give you a rationale in the moment to get all like overseer with me. We're not doing that. I'm keep my cool. Oh, really? A word? Uh-huh. Okay. We're going to go through the process. Yeah, I'm going to be temporarily inconvenienced. It might take me a few hours to get processed, but the wifey or whoever will process me out. And when I do, and while I'm sitting down there, it's 100% about what we do now. If I got a lawsuit, I'm going to pursue it to the natural ends. If I don't, then I don't. As simple as that. But don't give these folks a reason to put their hands on you, because that's what some of them want, family. They want to. They want to. Before I roll out, I want to remind you, coming up at 1 p.m. today, Midday Juice with Ask Ashley is back at 1 p.m. You can watch on CDM's website. CDM's Facebook page. Also, The Valet Service podcast coming up today at 7 p.m. Black Rambo TV is scheduled to be Fast Pitch's first guest. She'll be talking about numerous things this morning. Hold on one second. I can also share with you some of the cover art that you're going to see later on today. This is from Midday Juice. I'll share with you real quick, give you that exclusive. You'll see it shortly after the show. It'll be up on our Facebook page and be circulated. But Ask Ashley got a very interesting question this week. Dear Ashley, my friends always try to compete with me, and I think it harms our friendship. What should I do? Ask Ashley will be answering that question. You can also email her your questions if you're interested. And again, that's Midday Juice. That's coming up today at 1 p.m. So again, family, have an excellent rest of your day. I'll be with you back in bright and early tomorrow morning. Hold on. Let me see. I'll be with you bright and early tomorrow morning. Of course, tomorrow I'm going to end up doing 2 shows. So you're going to have the Nathan Ivey Show, and then you're going to have Late Night Nate, maybe Late Night Nate-ish. I may do some things and try some things out that I'm thinking about for that late night program, Late Night Nate. I'll be watching the vice presidential debate with you. We'll be live on Facebook. If you're interested, you're always willing to, you're always able and invited to join the conversation. That'll be tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, approximately. Okay, we can watch the VP debate together, break it down in real time. And then, of course, we can get together afterward and talk about everything that we saw. All right. Have an excellent rest of your day, family. Until next time, I'm Nathan Ivey, and I'm out.
Groceries.